Hey guys. Okay. I was just streaming on Twitch because I was making a video about the same thing I'm making a video on here. I was streaming. But today we're going to be reading a fanfic called Sheets. We're reading chapter 1 and I'll probably post like a bunch of other chapters if you guys like this one. So, okay. So the fanfic is called Sheets. You can't really see it because my camera's not really focusing. Mine is 30, so thank you. But anyways, okay, so this is a complete and mature. It's a complete book, and it's a mature book. Anyways, I'm gonna read the summary. Wesley Dillon's life. Wesley Dillon's life was uneventful, and frankly, he liked it that way. He didn't get into trouble. He kept his grades up. He played it safe. He never did anything to rock the boat he was floating in. The calm waters of his lake left undisturbed. Now starting his last year in high school, Wes was content to continue living his life as he always has. But sometimes, and only sometimes, he caught himself wishing that something could make ripples in a tiny lake. What he wasn't ready for were the waves that were Nico Beckett, a troublemaker, womanizer, and incredibly popular boy at school. He was everything Wes was not. Nico was the type of guy that Wes wanted to associate with, that Wes never wanted to associate with. But after waking up in his arms with panic in his chest and pains everywhere else, he realized that his life was going to get much, much more complicated. It took him everything to try not to drown as the waves pulled him further and further down. But somewhere along the way, he wasn't sure that drowning was actually a bad thing. Let's get right into it. Oh, also, this is a boy times boy story, so if you don't like boys times boys, don't watch this video. Yeah. Chapter 1, or 1. It's warm, I thought to myself, a small smile on my lips as I snuggled further into the crinkled sheets, tugging at the blanket around my chest. The blankets were strangely smooth and soft to the touch, and folded in an odd way around my body. Grumbling and still groggy with sleep, I pulled at the blanket to cover my shoulders properly, which was slightly chilled under the lazy whirring of the fan overhead. The blanket moved in compliance and let out a content sigh. Curling my body around closer into the sheets, I found as the blanket slipped from my shoulder again and settled around my bare waist. My fingers gripped at the source of warmth, which weighed heavily across my abdominals, making it a little difficult to breathe. Frowning as my movement didn't bring the blanket up, I peeled open my heavy lids to try and discern where the blanket were snagging. My eyes followed the path down my arm, pale even against the whiteness of the sheets, till my fingers were gripping around the blanket, which looked remarkably like a human arm. Looking confused, I raised the arm-shaped blanket, my stomach immediately growing cold without it covering my skin. As my eyes focused blurry from both sleep and having no glasses on, I felt my heart stop as I squeaked. My body freezing as my fingers let go of the object in my hand. It's an arm. It's a fucking human arm. Oh my god. I whispered to myself, voice quivering as my breath quickened. Chest breathing wildly as I glanced around the room with my less than stellar eyesight. An unfamiliar ceiling greeted me, the smooth surface painted a dark green that was no different from the light blue walls of my own room. The dark wood fan spun around, wobbling slightly with labor casting flashes of dark shadows across the room as it filtered out the light slipping into the room through drawn white curtains. Posters of cards were taped on the wall, the words on them too small to read. Across from the bed was a desk covered with anything and everything, a digital clock perched precariously on top of some books. Blinked 1:47 p.m. in red letters. Clothes littered the room, some hanging off the desk chair, others across the beanbag on the ground beside the window. They were some close to in line, from the door to the edge of the bed, ending with a pair of jeans draped across the foot of the bed. My jeans. Oh my god. I repeated again, voice croaky as the arms around my stomach moved, strong muscles wrapped tightly around my middle. This can't be happening. This can't be. My voice, uh, my quiet voice was cut out by a loud groan, followed by incoherent, sleep-riddled mumbling. A hot breath fanned my temple, making me crinkle my nose as the stale scent mixed with alcohol and cigarettes. Please tell me I'm not someone I know. Please tell me it's not someone I know. Or is it better that it's someone that I know? Either way, I am fucked, I thought to myself, praying silently as I closed my eyes. Turning my head to the left, the breath that had hit sat on my face a moment ago was now drifting across the skin of my nose. One breath, two breaths, three. As the figure exhaled, I opened my eyes sharply. The first thing I saw were the pink lips that were slightly parted and blowing on my face. A slither of straight white teeth pricked out from underneath. There was a shadow, a dark stubble across the lips, the gentle gleam of metal rings protruding from the bottom lip. My line of sight moved upward to a strong nose, which was slightly askew in the center, where it had likely been broken, at least once before. The nose was situated between smooth cheeks, which rolled over defined cheekbones that caught the shadows of the warm weekend light. They scrunched up a little in annoyance as the arms pulled me in closer, fingers pressing into the flesh of my hip. Even with their eyes closed, I knew what color they were, because I knew who he was. Nico Beckett, I whispered, eyes widening as his name seemed to cause him to stir. Be quiet, I'm sleeping. Nico's sleepy, rough voice groaned, the sound reverberating through his chest, which was pressed against my arm, which lay stiff between our bodies. His voice seemed to flick a switch inside me, because one moment I was laying there like a carcass, and the next I was up on my feet and scrambling to pick up my clothes. That seemed to be everywhere. First my underwear and jeans, which were on the end of the bed, with my phone nestled in the back pocket, and my underwear, which were on the floor beside me. I then snatched up my glasses that wobbled on top of the spent tissue box on the bedside table. My t-shirt was on top of the desk beneath what I assumed was the shirt Nico had been wearing the night before. One of my socks dangled around the edge of the paper bin, the other nowhere to be seen. One of my shoes was by the door, the other dangling by the laces on the doorknob. Quickly pulling on my clothes, my jeans still unfastened, my shirt on back to front and inside out, and my shoes unlaced, I ran out the door. I didn't care where I just wanted to get out of there, out of Nico Beckett's sheets. Fuck, 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 I tittered as I ran, my feet taking me around the street corner. It wasn't until I was completely out of breath, feet hurting and chest heaving, that I realized I was standing on my doorstep. My feet managed to take me back home despite my head being a complete mess. Banging on the door, I frantically ran my hands through my light hair, nails scraping the dark roots that were beginning to break through. The usual neatly brushed locks united with sweat and God knows what else. I was crunching into my fingers, glancing around, my fist still slanted against the wood panel between the glasses and lay at the door. I swallowed thickly as I saw my neighbor Maggie staring at me with curious eyes under her visor. Her hands, which had been busy trimming hedges that separated our homes, became idle as she tilted her head to the side, eyes narrowing. Not a moment too soon, my fist suddenly met air mid-knock as the door swung open, revealing my older sister, who was giving me an amused look. As she held her toothbrush between her teeth, brushing past her and slamming the door shut, leaning on it heavily, I coughed and slapped my hand over my chest, trying to physically will it to calm. Mom will be happy to know that you're not dead in a ditch somewhere, Jamie smirked, as she popped the toothbrush out of her mouth, wiping the stray white suds from the side of her mouth with the back of her hand. A little dribble onto the front of her oversized t-shirt, which hung down past her waist to her mid-thigh. The bottom of her loose shorts were almost invisible under the large shirt, which hid her slender figure under its fabric. Her brown hair was tied in a loose knot on the top of her head, slightly lopsided with the weight of her long hair. The towel hairband barely holding back the shorter cells from her face. I'm alive, I think, I breathed out, voice straining after running. Jamie's eyes alight as she grinned. I told her you were staying at Benny's house even though you clearly weren't. You can thank me later. I take cash or credit. My sister laughed as her free hand scooped itself around mine. Thanks, I replied sarcastically, my voice almost returning to normal as I finally regained my breath. Though as the adrenaline began to ebb away, my head began to throb as my mouth became dry, tongue shriveled. I felt a sense of dread grow as I felt pain in another area, much lower down. It was a burning, bruising pain which radiated around my upper thighs and lower back. It felt deep. Oh shit, shit, shit. Please tell me you didn't. Mother Big Brother's first high school party. Jamie sighed, happily squeezing my arm as she gave me a sniff, the smell of toothpaste making me a little queasy. You definitely had something to drink. You off you're also awfully sweaty. Jamie's eyes grew curious as her lips curled into a mischievous grin. Maybe you lost your I didn't! I shouted, wincing with the sharp noise as my head split again. Jamie's eyes widened before a large burst of minty air flew from her mouth as she doubled over, head shaking as she laughed. Her shoulders bobbed up and down as she sucked an uncontrollable breath, tears springing to the corner of her eyes. My cheeks flushed crimson as I turned away from her, heart hammering painfully as I remembered the heat of Nico's arm across my stomach, his fingers on my waist, his breath on my cheek, and nausea rose up in my stomach as I didn't think it was because I was hungover. I was just joking, Wes. Jamie wheezed, slapping me on the back as she straightened, rubbing the tears from her eyes. Oh my god, your reaction is golden. You should do this more often. It's so much more entertaining. Coughing a little after a laughing fit, Jamie's eyes grew softer. She rustled my hair, grimacing as something clearly caught under her nail. But you need to shower. Be quiet though, Mom's sleeping. Says the one bringing the house down with her laughter, I grumbled, pushing away the ill feeling swelling in the pit of my empty stomach. Jimmy shrugged as she smiled, stumbling as she pushed me up the stairs to his bathroom. I tried to hold it together as I closed the door behind me, sliding the lock into place, leaning against the stone counter, hands on either side of the white sink. I tentatively looked up into the mirror. I felt sick. Again. As the mess in front of me. Huh? I felt sick again at the mess in front of me. Blonde hair, roots browning, was greasy and clung to my forehead, the black flat from where I had been laying down the night before. My cheeks were flushed beneath my freckles, my dark bags arched in caresses beneath my eyes, which were red and raw, and my lips were cracked and tasted a little like alcohol and blood. As I licked them, my mouth parched. I looked like a mess, but even my appearance couldn't dominate the garbage dump of emotion inside me. Turning on the tap, my hand was squeaked in a high-pitched tone that made me flinch with pain. I ducked my mouth under the stream of cool water, drinking greedily after I wasn't completely dehydrated, water slipping down my chin, up the front of my creeple shirt. I pulled it off slowly. I gagged a little as I saw a trail of red bruised marks running from the curve of my shoulder down to my skin, just above the waistband of my jeans. Fuck, 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 I cursed, hands shaking as I rubbed it, as the red splashed the skin, the color blanching and returning as I released pressure. Frantic, I grabbed the towel by the side of my sink and dunked it in water, slapping it onto the red bumps on my skin. When I pulled the towel away, they were still there. This isn't real. I shook, voice weak as I stirred the hickeys that littered my body, thinking about the most probable giver of hickeys. My memory was hazy, and the only image I could conjure up in my mind were figments of my overactive imagination. Nicholas' body on mine, the end of his dark hair tickling my stomach as his lips nibbled and sucked his tongue slick as it flicked against my skin. No, 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 I chanted, shaking my head as the headache erased all of my terrifying thoughts. Tearing my eyes away from the mirror, I quickly changed out of my pants and discarded the underwear into the laundry basket, shoved my shirt in afterward. Every time I moved my legs, my lower back ached and groaned, and the searing burning pain flared. Don't think about it, don't think about it, don't think about it, I mumbled, almost pleading to myself as I stepped into the shower, only twisting the cold tap. There was a gurgle before the steady stream of water began to drizzle down my back. As the droplets slithered down the indentations of my spine, I felt the pain begin to lessen slightly. Carefully, my stomach flinched as I reached a hand backwards, pressing against my ass slightly. Pain toned upward, and I hissed, almost slipping on the wet towels as my knees buckled. Not good, I said to myself, voice bleak as some hot, salty water mingled with the coldness running down my cheeks. Really not fucking good. Author's note. Thank you so much for Thank you so much for clicking on the story and making it through the first chapter. It truly means a lot to me that you would even be intrigued by the story enough to try and read it. And I hope you liked what you read. And if you didn't, constructive criticism is always welcome. I'll be releasing chapters somewhat regularly, at least one chapter a week, depending on how many chapters I've written and reading etc. Hopefully I would have been on top of my game and written a decent amount before I started posting, but we shall see. Thanks again for reading, and I'll see you and my boys in the next chapter. Okay. Without further ado, that is the end of chapter 1. And if you'd like to see more, feel free to comment down below, because I might be doing more of this story. If you haven't already, feel free to hit that subscribe button. It's free and it helps me out, as well as please turn on post notifications if you do decide to hit that subscribe button, because you'll know whenever I post. I also have a Twitch account, so if you go to Twitch and type in Chris with 2 S's, Lloyd, like my YouTube channel, without any spaces. Yeah, without further ado, that's all that we have today. So I hope you've had a wonderful day, wonderful afternoon, or wonderful morning, or night, or anything really. And without further ado, that is going to be the end of this video. Bye guys.